What's up, everybody? This is tywon with H2Hubb, and we're here to do a product proof video for Drink HRW's Rejuvenation. This is a magnesium-based hydrogen tablet, and they are called open cup tablets. You drop them into a glass of water, about 500 milliliters of water, and they react in about 2 minutes, and they produce a high dose, high milligram per liter hydrogen-rich water. They are basically one of a kind. There's nothing really like them on the market. And they're probably one of the most convenient ways of producing really high concentration hydrogen-rich water. Drink HRW and this particular tablet has been utilized in quite a bit of scientific literature on molecular hydrogen and its medicinal effects. And so we want to go ahead and cover some of the two, ones with humans that are that demonstrate demonstrate the most promise. And so we're going to go ahead and get into it, and we'll go ahead and start with some of the basics of these studies, just covering with the basic outline of them. And then we'll do a couple quick highlights, highlighting a couple quotes that I think are important, and then that'll be it. And so let's go ahead and begin. The title of this article is Hydrogen-Rich Water Reduces Liver Fat Accumulation and improves liver enzyme profile in patients with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a randomized controlled pilot trial. So in this article, they're actually investigating non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's a worldwide liver disease that's pretty rampant here in the United States. It is kind of characterized by metabolic impairments and metabolic impairments dealing with lipids and glucose metabolism. And so they want to investigate if hydrogen could improve some of these markers of this disease within 28 days. And so dealing with the liver. And so what they end up doing is they had they basically had the human subjects drink 1 liter of hydrogen-rich water a day using this particular tablet. And then after those 28 days, they took some analysis to actually see if the hydrogen was able to improve the actual liver of these patients. And so in the results, it actually says this, that dual echo MRI revealed that hydrogen-rich water significantly reduced liver fat accumulation in individuals in individual liver regions of interest at 28 days at 28-day follow-up as compared to placebo administration. And so they end up showing that hydrogen was able to reduce fat accumulation within the liver and within 28 days. And it also ended up demonstrating that it had some beneficial effects on a couple other markers as well by decreasing them by a few percentages. Now, the interesting thing is that in the conclusion of this study, it does state that although this is a preliminary study, that the results of this trial perhaps nominate hydrogen-rich water as an adjunct treatment for mild to moderate non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So within 28 days, hydrogen was able to have in this particular article, was seemingly able to have a beneficial effect, a pretty remarkable beneficial effect on actually the accumulation of fat within the liver. Now, they did do an extension to this study, and we'll cover that as well here. They did an extension to this study where they wanted to investigate investigate some of these biomarkers as well for metabolic health. And they ended up discovering that within 28 days, that the patients that received 1 liter a day of this hydrogen-rich water produced by this tablet was able to improve insulin sensitivity by 11% within 28 days. That's pretty huge. It also reduced body fat, actually reduced body fat percentage also. So within these 2 articles, we can actually see that hydrogen holds some potential for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And it also has some improvements on actual insulin sensitivity as well. And so this will be the first article we're covering. Then now we're going to go ahead and move into the second one. All right, now the title of the second article is The Effects of 24 Weeks High Concentration Hydrogen-Rich Water on Body Composition, Blood Lipid Profile, and Inflammation Biomarkers in Men and Women with Metabolic Syndrome, a randomized controlled trial. And so this one is a rather is a larger trial than what we discussed here previously. And the results of this one was rather significant as well. This one's over metabolic syndrome, like I stated, which has been associated with a number of risk factors. And so, like for instance, dyslipidemia, hyperglycemia, obesity, and metabolic syndrome is basically a worldwide pandemic. It also has increased risk of cardiovascular disease and neurological disease and increased mortality. So metabolic syndrome is a rather big deal. And so they did 24 weeks. So that's about 5.5 months of these individuals consuming hydrogen-rich water produced by these actual tablets. And so in this trial, they actually looked at 60. They actually contained 60 humans, and it had 30 men and 30 women. And so they talked a little bit about the potential concentration that they were doing. They actually drank 3 of these tablets a day in 250 milliliters of water, and they discussed the actual millimole concentration per day, which is, rather high. They talked about 5.5 millimoles, but if you do the numbers on this, these people are getting a big dose of hydrogen per day. And so to cover some of the initial highlights of the abstract, it says here that hydrogen-rich water significantly reduced blood cholesterol, glucose levels, attenuated serum hemoglobin AC1, and improved biomarkers of inflammation and redox homeostasis as compared to the placebo. It says furthermore, H2 tended to promote a mild reduction in body mass index and weight to hip ratio. So all y'all who want to lose weight, and it seemed like hydrogen might have some beneficial effects there. And so it did end up stating here in the abstract that it said that the results give credence to high concentration hydrogen-rich water might have promising effects in therapeutic modality for attenuating the risk factors of metabolic syndrome. So we get into some of the actual highlights of this study. There's quite a few of them. First thing I want to mention, like I stated earlier, it says here in the methodology that these individuals consume 1 tablet 3 times a day in 250 milliliters of water. And they were advised to drink the water as soon as possible on an empty stomach in the morning. And so they were able to receive a rather large dose of hydrogen. And so that's one thing to first mention. And then we'll go ahead and move to some of the actual results. Let me go ahead and find my notes. There we go. Alrighty, so one of the biggest things to take away from this study is that they looked at a ton of biomarkers. I think 20 altogether. They looked at things such as things associated with biomarkers that are associated with cardiovascular disease, dyslipidemia, things like HDL, LDL, VLDL, TG. They looked at things such as biomarkers for inflammation, such as tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 6. Markers of oxidative stress. Also looked at hyperglycemia. They looked at a lot of different things, even vitamin E and vitamin C. And one of the major takeaways is that hydrogen improved within this time frame. these individuals had improvements in 18 out of the 20 biomarkers. Hydrogen also improved several biomarkers of cardiometabolic health, and also improved had some beneficial effects for body mass index, resting heart rate, blood lipids, and glucose, inflammation, redox, homeostasis. I mean, it looks like across the board within this article, hydrogen improved a lot of either the risk factors or biomarkers associated with metabolic syndrome. It even states here, another note that it mentions is that it says, our data also shows that hydrogen-rich water essentially lowered the mean glucose level from the upper range to the lower range of pre-diabetic criteria, which was also accompanied by a 12% reduction in HbA1c. So it's basically, like I said, it's even lowering blood glucose levels, even to the lower range of what is pre-diabetic from these individuals that was dealing with metabolic syndrome. So we'll go ahead and look at a couple more here. This one states here that this study demonstrated that hydrogen water induced significant improvements in clinically relevant metrics of blood biomarkers and biometric data in subjects with metabolic syndrome. Compared to previous studies, it may also indicate that high dose H2 are more effective than low dose, at least in metabolic syndrome. And so this is something that's been discussed quite a bit, and we need more studies about dosing. But it does appear that many diseases are either dose dependent, and some diseases might respond better to a higher dose, and others might not need that as high as a dose. But this trend does pan itself out into this study that it's possible that at least with metabolic syndrome that a higher dose of hydrogen in your water, or a higher dose that you get into your body via your water, may be better for those who actually have metabolic syndrome. And so we're going to read the conclusion of the study. I think it's good. Also, it states here that in conclusion, the results from our study suggest that supplementation with high concentration hydrogen-rich water produced via H2 producing tablets improves body composition, favorably modulates fatty acid and glucose metabolism, and improves inflammation and redox homeostasis in subjects with metabolic syndrome. Therefore, long-term treatment with high concentration hydrogen-rich water may be useful as an adjunct therapy to decrease the features of metabolic syndrome. So that's pretty huge. Like I stated before, these tablets are being used in a lot of research studies right now, and they are showing statistical improvements in multiple different disease models, or even administration types. Like, for instance, Drink HRW makes a hydrogen bath tablet that has shown some promising studies in human studies as well. And so they're being used quite a bit. And as stated, there seems to be quite a bit of product proof when it comes to Drink HRW's hydrogen-rich tablets, or hydrogen-producing tablets. And so we'll catch you next time at the H2Hubb.